this 2011 Mitsubishi Eclipse comes with a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder naturally aspirated engine, and it outputs 162 horsepower and 162 pound-foot of torque. And it's not that fast. But something that I do like is that it sort of feels like a GT car where, you know, it's very good on the highway. The problem with this car is that it only gets 20 miles to the gallon in the city and 28 miles to the gallon on the highway. So it's not really that good in the gas mileage party. It's probably mainly due to the weight as well as the inefficient 2.4 engine. And in addition to that, it only has 4 gears, so it doesn't have a 6th gear for overdrive. So I believe if it did, it probably would get over 30 miles to the gallon on the highway. It weighs in the 3,300 pound range, and it's not very light, so the power to weight ratio is not that great in here. Overall, the steering is pretty, it's not very direct. It kind of feels like you're driving a little bit bigger car than this actually is. The interior of this car is pretty plain, pretty functional, and that's sort of what you expect out of a 2011 Eclipse, or Mitsubishi in general. The overall materials are everything's pretty hard plastic. This is kind of soft plastic up here. The center console is all hard plastic as well. The steering wheel feels really nice in the hands. Overall, the gauge clusters are pretty nice. They're pretty standard. They show this little pretty interesting bluish color when you turn the parking lights on. But overall, the center console has all of these standard features that you would expect. It has a CD player, as well as its actual stereo system is actually really good as well. And in here you get your auxiliary and power outlet as well. And there's a very small map pocket in here, but overall the inside, there's 2 cup holders and this center console here, which has a bunch of space. The glove compartment as well is a spot where you have some space as well. The materials are not that great. Now, talking about the rear seats are basically non-existent. If you haven't seen my Scion FRS review, it's basically the same there. There's no room, and the buttons that they allow you to get into the rear seats are terribly placed and not very obvious, and there's no room back there. It basically cuts off your legs. And also, there are no headrests in the back there either. Overall, interior is pretty standard, similar to what Toyota has as well. There's nothing complicated here. Everything says what it means. CD, radio scan, so on and so forth, and all these knobs are pretty plasticky and not very high quality. Some of the actual turns aren't too bad. The numbers here are pretty difficult to turn. This car also has heated seats, and it's 2-stage, which you have low and high. And yeah, overall, the interior is not the greatest, but it functions the way that it needs to be. And I don't really have any issues with the interior of this car, other than headroom for drivers and passengers. So let's move on to the exterior of this car. The exterior of this car is actually very interesting to me. I am a huge fan of it, actually. When it first came out, I actually was thinking, no, this is terrible. I don't know why you would have this kind of design for this car, mainly because the older car, the 1998 version of this car, I thought looked very iconic, very amazing. And that was when, you know, the Fast and the Furious movies came out too, and they had that Eclipse in there, and that was really cool as well. The overall look and feel of the exterior, I think, is really cool and really nice. The brakes are pretty good, and don't have any complaints about the brakes. And yeah, overall the driving experience is pretty decent. I'm gonna try this Sportmatic mode. We'll see how that works as well. kind of feels pretty peppy when you turn on the Sportmatic mode. I kind of wish I had more headroom. I'm only 5'10", and I'm basically hitting my head. But we can also lower the seat down a little bit. Front-wheel drive base car. The noise from the engine is pretty loud. It's not very refined in the interior here, but the overall ride is pretty decent. I have no complaints about the ride. Had some wheel spin there. It's a little wet. It feels pretty heavy, but it feels pretty playful as well. It's not too bad to drive around here. Yeah, overall, it's not too bad. You definitely have to be in the sport mode to get the acceleration that you want, because the gears are very, very tall because it's only 4 gears, and it makes it seem like the car in second gear when you're at, let's say, 30 miles an hour seem very, very slow and sluggish. Overall, it's a pretty decent car. I mean, for 2011, I mean, it has everything that you essentially need. The steering wheel is very plain and simple. Has your cruise control, has your heated seats, has a pretty good audio system. And the only issue is that, you know, the interior room, there's not much of it. But if you're a person who really likes the exterior of this car, I would say go for it. I mean, these cars come fairly cheap, and you can find one here at Bob Rohrman Libertyville Mitsubishi. At idle, the engine shakes a little bit more than I'd like it to, and it's probably just the refinement of this car. You know, Mitsubishi isn't really known for that. If you're just driving this car, cruising around, and you don't need more room for other people, then, you know, it wouldn't be too bad. Quite honestly, it's a pretty decent car. Now, the question is, would I recommend this car? And that's a toughie, because I feel like if this car was a manual transmission, I wouldn't have a problem with that car. But since it's an automatic and this the gear changes in here aren't that great, and the overall transmission isn't that great either, I think I would pass on the automatic and try to get a manual. But if you are looking for an automatic and you are looking for a black Eclipse, and you like the look of the car, because the look honestly is really good. I have no complaints about the look, and the overall performance isn't what I would say a sports car, but it does have a very sporty look, and I do really like the exterior of this car. So if you are looking for a 2011 or a Mitsubishi Eclipse at all, come check out Bob Rohrman Libertyville Mitsubishi. They'll definitely hook you up with a good deal. Tell them Derrick sent you and pick this car up. It's a really nice car. It's aged very well. The interior has no creaks and rattles in it, other than the fact that the interior is not very expensive looking. It's, for the time, pretty good. The reason why you would buy this car is the exterior, and the overall curve and look and feel of the exterior is really, really nice, and I have a hard time not recommending it for the exterior portion. But if you're looking for a performance car, look elsewhere. This car isn't really a performance car at all. You might look at the upper models, the one with the V6 engine, because the 4-cylinder is not that peppy. It's very, very similar to a Scion TC. This car is really built for 2 people and can carry a bunch of luggage with you with 2 people. Other than that, thank you all for watching this review. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, feel free to give it a thumbs down. And subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.